If no,
it was a draw. I personally, I watched the fight twice, and I can't remember anything other than I wasn't even a knockdown.
Yeah. But he didn't get deducted a point for that or anything. So.
No. So, like I said, it was a draw. It was a draw. Like, if you can't remember what happened in the fight, it's a draw.
Yeah. So the question I was going to ask
you can't really remember if this person was really beating this person, because it would just boom, 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 boom.
How does the rematch play out if they do fight again? Sometimes not a loss, but something like this, a blemish, might get you back.
It can. It's all up to Tank. It's all about how he feels internally. I think, for him, it's a lot to do up here too. Like all of us. But I think that's what you're gonna get from Roach. That's what you're gonna get at Roach every time. I think it's up to Tank to see.
Him to beat Tank, and then you're expecting him to complete those words and come fight you next.
If he beat Tank, I would love to fight Lamont next. Like, if he beat Tank, literally, if he beat Tank, it's only one fight to make it in the lightweight division.
Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis are set for a rematch this August, and surprisingly, many boxing professionals are backing the underdog. Even Davis's rival, Rolando "Raleigh" Romero, believes Davis will win. Romero, who suffered his first career loss to Davis, said, "I'd take Tank," when asked about a Davis-Roach rematch. He added that Davis is smart enough to make the right adjustments and come out on top this time.
I definitely felt
that. I truly but that also didn't seem like just Tank in general. And
so is that Lamar
and I will tell you this, Tank, I know for a fact, was sparring a 122-pounder, and that was the only person he sparred all camp. Literally all camp, he sparred a 122-pounder.
Was he taller than these
guys? No, he's shorter than Tank.
Bro.
Or him and Tank same height. Like I said, Tank wasn't really trained.
People want to discredit Tank as he's still a pound-for-pound fighter.
What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just an off night?
Everybody has an off night.
Romero, who was knocked out by Gervonta Davis in the 6th round of their lightweight title fight in March 2022 at Barclays Center, wasn't certain who won Saturday night's 12-round bout between Davis and Lamont Roach for the WBA 135-pound title. He praised Roach's performance and acknowledged his skill, but believes Davis will learn from the mistakes he made. Romero predicted that Davis will make key improvements in training and be better prepared for their expected rematch. Speaking with The Ring before a press conference promoting his upcoming May 2nd fight against Ryan Garcia in Times Square, Romero reflected on the surprise outcome. Lamont Roach took everyone in the boxing world by surprise that day, he said.
Everybody has an off night. Shit, I had a night with Cruz. Everyone has a night in boxing.
You want to run that back with Cruz or what?
Maybe down the line.
Which is a fucking tremendous fighter, bro. He's a really good fighter, man, dude. He beat Hector Garcia, and then, he took the belt from him, and he came up, and I know he's a lot more durable and stronger at 135,
He's also seen Tank the most in previous fights before.
They already had 2 fights, bro.
Yeah, so that's what
I think Roach may have even surprised himself, but I won't say that outright, because he entered the ring confident, composed, and fought like a true professional. It was a very close fight. That doesn't take anything away from Tank, though. Gervonta Davis is a 3-division world champion and one of the greatest fighters of our generation. Roach just had an exceptional night against him. I believe the rematch needs to happen because of the controversies surrounding the first fight. For example, the moment with the knee, none of Davis's punches landed cleanly, and it wasn't an aggressive exchange leading up to it, so it came out of nowhere. The officials didn't count the knee as a knockdown, but had they done so, Davis might have lost the fight. Still, Roach remained patient, picked his moments, and showed poise throughout. He really fought like a seasoned professional, and that's why many believe he deserves a second shot at Davis under clearer circumstances.
if anybody
2 fights.
Tank and Roach, they fought twice before in the amateurs.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, they had history and they sparred a good amount of times and all that stuff, but...
So you think a rematch, do you think this remotivated Tank? And do you think a rematch, Tank just goes in and wins that fight?
I don't know, bro. We gotta see what if it was a Tank time.
With the rematch on the horizon, Ryan Garcia hasn't held back in sharing his prediction, adding even more buzz to the upcoming showdown. In an interview with ES News, Garcia confidently said, I got Tank. I think he'll put on a different gear. He just thought it would be easier than it was and that Roach would fold, and he didn't. Garcia believes Davis now understands the challenge Roach presents and will come in with greater focus and intensity. His perspective, shaped by his own experience in the ring with Davis, adds an extra layer of intrigue to the rematch. Garcia suggests that Davis underestimated Roach in their first bout, but won't make the same mistake the second time around.
What I seen in the fight, I thought Lamont won, and I think the commission does need to do something with that knee, because if they don't, then all of us are going to think we could take a knee anytime we want. You know, they got to do something about it. I mean, they did something about me, you got to do something about other people. You know, rules are rules, right? It's, you know, I like Tank though, personally, but a rule is a rule. You can't go and take a knee and then just expect not to be knocked down. You know, you can't get away with it, stuff like that.
When you say 1 foot in boxing and 1 foot out.
Yeah.
I thought Lamont won, and honestly, the commission needs to address that knee situation. If they don't, it sends the message that any fighter can just take a knee whenever they want without consequence. They enforced the rules on me, they need to enforce them for everyone. Rules are rules, right? I like Tank personally, but that doesn't change the fact that you can't just drop to a knee and expect it not to count as a knockdown. You shouldn't be able to get away with stuff like that. It sets a bad precedent. When people talk about having 1 foot in boxing and 1 foot out, it means not being fully committed. And that's dangerous in this sport.
Like such a small boxing world that you know what he's really doing?
No, but I mean, from what he said, obviously, I want to retire. His demeanor, it's like he don't really want to box no more. Telling people don't box, you know, kids you shouldn't box, you know. So it's kind of like he don't really love it no more, you know? You understand what I'm saying? And that will mess you up, because in a fight, you got to be all the way in. Because when problems, you know, rise in the ring, even if it's a little problem, you got to be ready to snap it in the butt.
Do you think that might light a fire under him? And how does the rematch?
Ryan Garcia's prediction for the upcoming rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach has ignited debate among boxing fans. Anticipation for the bout is high, and Garcia's take, based on his own experience with Davis, adds intrigue. It's as if all of Davis's past opponents are eager to reaffirm his greatness by picking him to beat Roach. Deep down, they know that if Roach wins, it reflects poorly on them, making them look like fighters who couldn't beat someone now seen as beatable. Meanwhile, undefeated women's pound-for-pound star Claressa Shields has voiced deeper concerns. In a March 28th interview with Fight Hub TV, she questioned Davis's mental state more than his physical performance.
Yeah. How do you see it? Do you think it goes either way? Like who's it favoring?
I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older now or what, but yeah. I feel like Gervonta is a hell of a fighter, but he needs to get his mental together. When I hear some of his interviews and I see some of the stuff that he's saying, I can just tell that he's not in love with the sport no more. I can tell that he didn't get his just due. I mean, it was crazy to hear that he said he got
I feel like Gervonta is a hell of a fighter, but he needs to get his mental together, Claressa Shields said. When I hear some of his interviews and see the things he's saying, it's clear he's not in love with the sport anymore. Shields expressed genuine concern for Davis's well-being, suggesting his struggles go beyond the ring. I think he'd be a better person and an even better fighter if he went to therapy, ASAP. I can tell he's a little sad, a little depressed. He needs to take some serious time to deal with whatever he's going through. She concluded by saying, I truly believe therapy would help Davis in his rematch with Roach.
I think he would be better, even a better fighter if he went and did therapy like ASAP. Because I can just tell like he's a little sad, he's a little depressed, even before this fight, you know. So I think it'd be a better fight. I think that Lamont has the mental edge. I think anybody right now would have the mental edge over Tank, because to me he just needs to take some serious time to, like, you know, deal with whatever he's having to deal with.
Right now, I think Roach wins the rematch, mainly because Tank seems so frustrated with other parts of his life that it's affecting his focus in the ring, Claressa Shields said. She later added, I guess I favor Lamont Roach in the rematch. Interestingly, despite being a known rival of Gervonta Davis, Shields gave a surprisingly balanced prediction before their first fight, showing respect for both fighters.
Real quick to Tank and Lamont Roach. Is that the right opponent for Tank?
I don't know why everybody is kind of sleeping on Lamont, but he has a decorated amateur career too. He's a very sturdy kid. He's very skilled.
I don't know why everyone's sleeping on Lamont, Claressa Shields said. He has a decorated amateur background, he's a very sturdy kid, and he's got real skill. Shields acknowledged Davis's talent too, adding, Tank is Tank, and when I say that, I mean he's a bad man. He can fight, he's tough. Despite their personal history, Shields was able to separate their feud from her respect for his abilities. I know we had our dispute back and forth or whatever, she said, but at the end of the day, if we're just talking boxing, he's a good fighter, and I look forward to watching that fight. When asked whether the rematch was pay-per-view worthy and if she planned to buy it, Shields didn't hesitate. I've always bought any fight that Tank has had on pay-per-view, she said. And I think Lamont Roach is worth watching too. This fight is going to be very technical, very skillful, and of course, we'll see Tank's power on display. Let the best man win.
And I look forward to watching that fight.
Is this a pay-per-view fight though? Would you buy it? Are you gonna buy it?
I want any fight that Tank has happened. I think that Lamont Roach is worth watching. I think that this fight is going to be very technical, very skillful, and as always, we're going to see the power of Tank on display.
Absolutely. And Lamont Roach, do you have a relationship with him?
I know him from the amateurs too.
Okay.
Shakur Stevenson told The Ring he expects Gervonta Davis to face just as much trouble against Lamont Roach in their upcoming rematch as he did in their first WBA lightweight title bout on March 1st. That fight ended in a highly debated majority draw at Brooklyn's Barclays Center. Davis, a heavy -161 favorite according to DraftKings, was expected to handle Roach with ease. Roach had moved up from the junior lightweight division for their Premier Boxing Champions pay-per-view headliner just 2.5 months ago.
Confidence against Tank is a recipe for disaster, but it's low output, high accuracy.
Good body shot there from Tank. Another body shot from Davis. Straight right down the middle. Always a weapon against the southpaw. The left hook by Roach at the jab. There's a chopping right hand. Good punch from Roach. In fact, their unofficial scorer, Larry Hazard.
Had referee Steve Willis ruled a knockdown when Gervonta Davis took a knee early in the 9th round, Davis would have lost a decision to Lamont Roach. Moments after taking the knee, Davis was assisted by his trainer, Calvin Ford, who wiped a substance from Davis's eyes that was impairing his vision. Since Willis didn't call for a break in the action, Davis was technically granted an unofficial timeout, something that could have warranted disqualification. Shakur Stevenson, a 3-division world champion from Newark, New Jersey, was one of the few who predicted Roach would be a tough opponent in what many expected to be an easy tune-up for Davis. Stevenson even placed a sizable bet on the fight going the distance, earning approximately $25,000.
You know, the Ring Magazine rankings did come out, and we know your accolades, we know what you've done. You know, Keyshawn's made a lot of noise recently, and that's your boy, but what do you think about him being ranked above you?
So what do you think about the rankings?
I mean, if you're asking me personally, Kevin Garcia, I think that you should be ranked #1.
Okay. So
based on your accolades.
The guy at #1 is a guy that just had a draw his last fight, right? So then, what are we talking about? It ain't really nothing to even talk about. It is what it is.
Though Shakur Stevenson respects Lamont Roach, he's rooting for Gervonta Davis to win their rematch, mainly because Davis is one of boxing's biggest stars and represents the most lucrative option for Stevenson's 24th professional bout. I would love that fight to happen, Stevenson told The Ring. But I'm not like everybody else saying, oh, it's a rematch. He's just going to knock this guy out or make it look easy. I don't see it that way. Stevenson emphasized how much the moment means to Roach. Lamont Roach has waited his entire life for this opportunity. I've been in the ring with him. I've trained in the gym with him. I know exactly who Lamont Roach is. Because he didn't believe Roach would get a fair decision, Stevenson said he placed a bet on the fight going the distance, knowing Roach would make it competitive even if the judges didn't give him the nod.
So what do you think, you know, considering you were one of the handful of people to pick Lamont Roach, give him a tough fight? What do you
think? I think it's dangerous for him to go back in there and fight Lamont. I think Lamont is a hell of a fighter. I can see that going left. So.
In their first fight, Gervonta Davis, the ring's top-ranked lightweight, opened as a 6-1 favorite for the rematch, according to FanDuel. However, Shakur Stevenson, ranked 3rd in the 135-pound division by The Ring, once again disagrees with the public's perception of the matchup. When it's a rematch, I don't look at it like everybody else, Stevenson said. I know what Tank is dealing with, so he's going to have to be 100% at his best. and even beyond that. He can't just be the same fighter he was last time. He has to be better. For Tank to win this rematch, it's going to be a very difficult fight.
Yo, you know, I kind of said 154. I probably was stretching it. I'm stretching 154, but I'll fight him at 147. 147 feet kind of could get it in.
So you call Johnny Boy Boxing and fight him. If you beat him, do you feel like that's the toughest test of your career? And they'll give you the credit if you win?
Who knows? It's never.
I know that me and Tank is the big fight, so it worries me that I might not get the chance to face him while he's still undefeated, especially with Lamont Roach in front of him, said Shakur Stevenson. But we'll see. Maybe he'll go in there and make it an easy fight. I know it's something he can work on. Stevenson, however, does agree with FanDuel's odds on his own upcoming fight with Mexico's Artemio Zepeda, where he's favored by a 14-1 margin. The 2016 Olympic silver medalist will defend his WBC lightweight title for the third time on July 12th, as part of a 4-fight pay-per-view card at Louis Armstrong Stadium in Queens.
Process, you know. I think I stopped looking for credit because at the end of the day, once you get the credit, something else happened, they're going to move on anyway. So the credit really doesn't matter. It just matters how I feel, what I feel after the fight. After I go fight with him, if I perform at the highest level of my expectations, I'm going to do that.
Roy Jones Jr., widely regarded as one of boxing's all-time greats, has weighed in on the upcoming rematch between lightweight stars Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. Speaking to pro boxing fans, Jones praised Roach for his impressive performance and acknowledged his potential to shock the world again. However, he ultimately backed Davis, expressing confidence that Tank will make the necessary adjustments to take control and dominate the rematch in August.
That's your fight this year. How do you see it going?
I ain't gonna really think about that yet because I'm waiting after he finishes his fight with Roach. Roach is not just your average everyday opponent. Roach is a person who knows Tank, who's been around Tank his whole life. This is a different fight. You can't put Roach to the side like this. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not saying that he's gonna win the fight. I don't know that, but Roach cannot be this underrated like that. You gotta understand that Roach came from basically the same ecosystem as Tank came from.
I think Roach will shock the world again, but this time Tank will come in with a different attitude, personality, and motivation, Roy Jones Jr. said. I believe Roach will perform well again, but Tank will be more dominant. Originally scheduled for June, the fight has been postponed to mid-August, giving both fighters ample time to prepare. This rematch could prove to be the most important night in the careers of both Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis.
It's a very formidable opponent. So I'm not going to talk about none of that until we get my rookie because what I'm telling you about the other stuff don't really mean nothing right now.
Okay, let me ask you this because this didn't happen.
I'm feeling good always. How you doing?
I'm always here. You're a special fighter. Tank's a special fighter. What do you like about him? What makes him different?
I like that when Tank come to fight, Tank come to knock you out. Tank don't come to just beat you by decision. He come to take you out. He come to try to get the job done best way he can. And he loves to come there and entertain the fans. He's not there to play around. He's trying to smoke.
Boxing icon Devin Haney and his father and head trainer, Bill Haney, will surely be watching the upcoming rematch closely. During an April 18th interview on the Cigar Talk podcast, Bill Haney issued a warning to Lamont Roach ahead of his second fight against Gervonta Davis. "Lamont, get to work now," Bill said. "Don't do too much talking. Listen. Have Pops come sit down and talk because that's what we do. Devin's going to work, and I'm going to talk." He added, "Lamont, get busy, man, get busy. That will be another great fight."